During this demonstration, we will be talking about different tools that we can use to quickly create architecture for our scene. Now, there are many different ways to create architecture or to model, and you will be developing your style of modeling using your particular chosen tools as you develop your skills. And I just wanted to take a moment and show you some tools that that you may want to use for your pipeline. Right now I'm beginning with a polygon that is it's just one face or two faces, one polygon, and I have a texture map applied to that. The texture maps that you choose should be photographed perpendicular to your surface. You'll have a much easier time painting out the shadows and so forth. You'll want to paint out as many shadows as possible because we will be using scene lighting in order to cast our shadows. And that in mind, most of the modeling that you want to do for architecture should be as low resolution as possible for anything above about 10 feet in your scene. Unless your characters are Spider-Man and they're crawling all over the buildings, the windows and so forth don't need to have that many polygons in order to reflect the structure that you want. So you just want to model enough of the structure in order to cast shadows. So in this particular photograph, you can see that the framework of the window is not very deep in comparison to the wall structure, and but the inset of the window is pretty dramatic. It's probably maybe 5 times the distance from the surface of this wall as the frame is offset. So we want to take that into consideration also when modeling to depict shadows as closely as possible to the actual structure. So a couple of tools that I use to quickly knock out a surface is I'm in Editable Poly, and I will be using Edge, Vertex, and Polygon primarily because I like the particular tools that come with those. So with Edge selected, what I can do is just select the 2 edges on the outside of the polygon, and then up here in the loop section of the graphite modeling tools, I'll use this little icon right here, this tool called Insert Loop, excuse me. And what that does is it gives me a another edge loop perpendicular to the edges that I had chosen. Now if I pull on this, it's going to distort my UVs, my texture map, so I want to come up here to a tool called Preserve UVs and simply click on that to select that, and now I can move this without it disrupting the UVs that I already have on the map. So I can determine where my edge loops on this particular surface should go following the angles of the windows, and I'll go ahead and select those again, give myself another one. Now I'm going to select the 2 inside. If I use that same tool, Insert, it goes all the way across the polygons on the outside too, and that's not what I want. So what I'm going to do is come down here to, in the Edge rollout, the Modify panel, and select on Connect. And what that does is it provides a split in that polygon only and not including the outside polygons. So I'll go ahead and place that, select on the edges again that I want to connect, and as long as my Preserve UVs icon is selected, it does a pretty decent job of maintaining that. You will see some tweaking of UVs. I'm not sure what causes that. It's just a little glitch in the system, I think, but as long as you continue to work at save often, you'll have iterated versions of your work to go back to if something should completely destroy your UV setup, which it has for me in the past, so that's why I advise you to save often. Okay, so now we have a basic structure. I'm going to just select that internal polygon, and I'm going to go up here to extrude in the graphite modeling tools under polygons, and I use extrude quite often. I'm going to extrude that out just a little bit, enough to give me a cast shadow, but not enough to make it look less realistic. So if I go with too much depth, I'm going to start to end up looking like it's a chunky building, and that's more of a cartoony type of style. So work streamline. You do want cast shadows, enough to cast shadows. I'm going to turn off my grid. But you don't want to go too overboard with that. So now I'm going to use a little tool called Inset right down here under Edit Polygons, and I'm going to inset my window. Now, as you can see, the Preserve UVs function does not work with Inset. There's no way to check that that I can tell to be able to preserve that, so that is a function that's going to distort your UVs. Not too much trouble. We're working with angles, 90-degree angles for the most part, so it's not too difficult to fix, and I'll show you how to do that. But first I'm going to extrude again and give myself a concave extrusion to depict that inset window. And there you can see P for perspective view that I'm starting to get an external structure for that. So I'm just going to pause while I continue to work, and I will come back when this particular module is complete so we can go on. Alright, now you can see that I have been iterating on this particular module, and I have my windows basically complete for this particular type of building. I'm not rounding any of the edges to create a soft shadow. I'm not doing any of that because this window actually, this set of windows goes to a skyscraper, and it's for the upper portion of the building, so those particular types of details are not necessary. So if I F for front, now I will show you quickly how to go ahead and create your building. Preferably you want to create an edge out here that's a bit more, a bit elevated from your edge, and that's just on one side, so that you don't have any overlapping polys to create a Z-fighting effect. So usually what I do is just create a seam or some sort of architectural feature that will allow me to overlap these edges without it creating any Z-fighting. So, and you will see as I create the instance why that would be. Alright, so in order to do that, I'm just going to hold my shift key down and drag in the X axis, and I'm going to line that up just a little bit, and I'm going to have object instance checked. Now the number of copies is key. I can go ahead and create the number of instance copies of this window, which will create the width of my building. So as I press OK, you can see that those copies have been created and offset at the same distance as my original. And if I select all of those, hold my shift key down and do the same thing going in the Z axis, I'm Z up, then you can see that it will also create I don't think I said that properly. We'll do it one more time. Alright, you have to click the number of copies. It's not going to save that particular setting. So there we go. And you can see that it's starting to look like the outside of a building already. Now from this point, you want to, of course, create your moldings and your architectural features that will go on the outside of the building, the doors, perhaps there's shops down below, and all of those would be considered custom features. Any signs, hanging signs. But this this way of working will allow you to create a building very quickly. Right?